muffins, and thank you for joining me back at my channel. As you can see by the title, this video is going to be palettes that I hate to say regret buying, but I don't regret buying them, just basically palettes that I don't use, so that's why I regret buying them. When I first started into makeup, I kind of went more on the less expensive side with the makeup because I wasn't too sure about quality of makeup, and and I'm not saying that lower end makeup doesn't sometimes is better than the higher end makeup, but I kind of bought a lot of palettes and stuff, and to be very honest, muffins, I bought these palettes and I probably could count on one hand how many times I used them, even if I probably used them or didn't use them at all. So I don't want to make this video too long because I have a lot of palettes to show you, and a lot of them I'm going to try to open them up just to show you what the palettes look like, and then I'll explain to you why I kind of wish I didn't purchase the palettes and probably went into a different type of avenue with it. Alright, muffins, so the first palettes I want to talk about is, I don't know if you remember many years ago when Coastal Scents came out with these gold palettes, and they came out with 6 palettes, and I got all of them. Like, I was so excited when this collection came out, and it looks like this is what the box looks like. And they came out with these little palettes. They're cute, you know what I mean, and they're cute if you want to throw them in your bag or whatever, but I really probably wouldn't travel with any of them. The colors are really nice. I'm not saying that the palettes are not pigmented or whatever, but little palettes like this I typically don't grab to because I go to different other palettes that I have. I'm into now like single eyeshadows. I'm into personally customizing my own palettes and stuff like that, because a lot of these colors, even though they're gorgeous, I don't see myself really using them, or I have them in other palettes, higher end palettes like the Lorac palettes or my Urban Decay palettes. Now I have some other name brand palettes here also, well, higher end palettes that I really don't use. So I'm going to show you one more, and that one was the Go to Paris palette. This is the Russia palette. It's the Go palette to Moscow. Now the palettes are, the colors in them are really nice. And this palette kind of reminds me of the other palette that I just showed you, muffins. The colors are typically the same. They're in the same family range. So I really didn't need to go out and buy all six or seven sets of these palettes, because why? I bought these palettes like maybe, I don't even remember when they came out. You can Google it and maybe you'll find out that it came out maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I've never used any of those palettes. And another palette I was really excited about getting one time was the Victoria's Secret's Naked palette. Now, Victoria's Secrets don't even sell makeup anymore, like eyeshadows and stuff anymore, and I don't know why, because I was really into Victoria's Secret's makeup and stuff like that. But this palette is the Naked palette. I guess when the companies really started coming out first with the Naked palettes and stuff, Victoria's Secret wanted to jump on the bandwagon, and so I picked up this palette. Now, looking at this palette, first of all, I don't like all of the satin colors, and I don't know, when I first bought it, I guess I was just excited to have a palette by Victoria's Secret, but the colors here is just colors that I would not use. Like, I really wouldn't. Some of the colors are really chalky. I just really would not use this palette. I'm sorry, I had to get something to wipe my hand. And the next palette is from Bhcosmetics, and this is the Jenny Rivera palette. Now, I kind of did not want to put this palette in this category, but because I think the young lady passed away, but I picked up this palette when it first came out. I think I even did a video on it, and I think I did a video on it. I'm not even quite sure if I did a eyeshadow video on it. Some of the blush colors are really nice, but once again, I think with the pattern with these big palettes or palettes like this, all of the colors are just so similar, and I have colors like this in higher end palettes that I do have, or single shadows that I have, and it's just a palette that sits in my drawer. Like, I have a large collection of makeup, but I have one drawer, like a full drawer. This came out of one of the drawers that I don't even use the palettes. It's like palettes that I do use and palettes that I don't use. And the next one is some palettes that Bhcosmetics came out with a while ago too, is the Bhcosmetics Party Girl palette and the Day to Night palette. Now the Day to Night palette is really nice. I featured it in a video, and after I featured it, I just never used the palette again because all the colors is just so similar. The only thing that I like about Bhcosmetics, Coastal Scents, and all of those type of companies that do sell palettes, like the large palettes and stuff like this, is that if you're first going into makeup, they're really affordable to get into. They're really nice to throw into your kit. But with me, I'm not a makeup artist, so I don't need to walk around with palettes like this. And I think even in today and age, if I was a makeup artist, I wouldn't carry around all of these type of palettes. Now, as you can see, these colors look similar to the Day and Night palette. Like, all of these colors just basically look the same to me. Now, this palette, I was so geeked up to get this palette when it first came out. And that's another thing with YouTube. So many of the popular YouTubers, they get these palettes for free and they just hype them up so much, and you're like, I have to have this palette. And I've had this palette. This is a Too Faced Pretty Rebel palette. I don't know if you muffins remember when this palette came out. The colors are really, really nice, but when am I ever going to really wear most of these colors or pick this palette up to use most of these colors? Like, I'm not. I can honestly say that since I've gotten this palette, I've not used that one color in it. So I really do regret buying that palette, and that palette was just so hyped up. Also with the Urban Decay, what is this palette called? Urban Decay, I don't know, it doesn't really have a name on it, but this is what the palette looks like. I'm going to show you the shadows of them in the back. When am I ever going to use these shadows on a daily basis? Now, I'm the type of person that I'm not afraid to wear colors and all of that type of stuff. I don't go follow by the rules or whatever, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm not going to get much use out of it. And look at the colors, like, they're not going to really even do me any purpose. And I should use this. I don't even know if this eyeliner is dried out or not. It's not, but I'm going to take that out so I can start using it. But these colors is just so, I mean, even to look at it, the colors are really not that pigmented, and you really have to work hard for these colors to show up on your eyelid or skin or anything. And how many browns and golds and stuff could one person have? You know what I mean? It's like all of the palettes, they might put a pop of color in it, and the rest of them are pretty much similar. The next palette is a cargo palette that I picked up, and I got this from Halt Look when they was having a big sale with the cargo palette. Now, the colors in this is really, really pretty. Now, if I didn't have any other palettes that look like this, like the NYX palette or any other type of neutral Lorac palettes and whatever, I wouldn't have a problem. I probably would grab for this, but because I have other palettes that I grab to, this palette really never ever get any use out of it. So this is the cargo palette. I didn't pay full price for it, so maybe that's why I was excited, and probably because it was a name brand palette. And when I was first doing into makeup, I just didn't really know any better. So Bhcosmetics came out with these, I don't know, special edition palettes like this. Now, this palette is really nice. This purple palette is really nice. But once again, the colors that they come out with, if you have any of the Bhcosmetics or Coastal Scents regular longer palette, see, wait, I don't even think I've ever even opened up this palette, have I? So what the palette looks like is that they have some colors there, and then they have some blushes and stuff. Now, these blushes and stuff, they would never really fit my skin tone. I'm very well to make colors work for me. Now this blush here is really, really pretty, but I have other blushes in that same, you can't even really see it on my skin, in that same family type. I don't even remember the last, I think I just showed it in a video and put it away in my drawer and never touch the palette again. So when Bhcosmetics came out with these, and then they have these, they came out with these, Coastal Scents came out with these little palettes like this. So this is the Smoky Eye 36 Smoky Eye palette. Now I love a smoky eye. The colors in it are really gorgeous. Like these colors are really, really pretty. But I grabbed to my Makeup Geek eyeshadow colors or my single Inglot shadows or something like that. Now the colors are really nice. They're not as pigmented as some of my other palettes and stuff like that. Like you can work with it, but when am I gonna wear these colors? So I'm basically going to say the same thing for the rest of the palettes. Even when Bhcosmetics came out with these big palettes like this, and they have so many additions to these palettes. I think now they're up to like edition 7 or 8, and this is edition 2. Now, a lot of these little sets are really pretty. If you are a makeup artist and you're going on shoots and stuff, you know, you want to be really creative and stuff, like these palettes are really, really nice. And when I got these palettes, I was like, oh my god, I could create so many looks with these. But once again, I got the palette and never used them. Never, ever, ever used these palettes. I don't know, I'm gonna say that because I've had them for so long, I'm probably never going to use them. They're probably just going to sit in my drawer, or maybe one day I will give them away. So Bhcosmetics came out with the 3rd edition. I have that one, and the 1st edition I have that one. And in these palettes, the colors are so freaking similar. Like Bhcosmetics came out with a Smoky Eye edition again. Like how many Smoky Eye edition palettes can you come out with? Like how many? And how many can you come out with? And I got them at 2 different times because they was having a sale. This one is the same palette as this one. So I got 2 of them. Probably didn't remember the fact that I had the doggone palette and wind up buying it again, because I'm sure if I would have remembered. Now, Coastal Scents came out with a 26 color eyeshadow, blush, and whatever type of palette. I've gotten some use out of this, but once I've gotten other palettes, I stopped using it. The colors are gorgeous, and I'm into dark colors and stuff like that, but I grab for other things, you know. I think I mainly use like the darker colors at first when I first got the palette, and I really didn't know anything about Urban Decay and other type of companies, so I probably couldn't even really afford to buy them, or probably couldn't really make it up in my mind to spend money on things like that. So Coastal Scents came out with the 56 eyeshadow palette. They have a shimmery one and a plain one. And this is the same thing. See, I wind up buying palettes that are the same thing. I'm not going to use them. Then we have the 42 color double stack. I'm not going to use it. I can guarantee you that those colors are in all the other palettes that they do have. Coastal Scents came out with the 88 warm palette. If I didn't have other colors, I probably would use it. I'm really not into shimmery colors. I don't even really understand why I picked up this palette, because to have a whole palette and the whole palette is of shimmery colors, and I wind up having another one, and I gave it to one of the co-workers on the job. And another reason why I don't use these palettes is because even when I first got the palette or whatever, the little eyeshadows little things started to come unglued. So I got this palette and I never used it. I had another one and I gave it to the one of the co-workers at the job. She doesn't know anything about makeup. She probably sent it back to her country for her niece or something like that. Now, the 88 Warm palette. Now, if you don't have these colors, but muffins, you probably do have something in your arsenal with all of these colors. And I've never ever used this palette. And I open up the palette and everything is popping out. Like that one popped out. This one cracked. See these colors here? You'll see these colors in any one of these other Coastal Scents or Bhcosmetics palettes that I have. Now, the last palette I want to talk about, because I was geeked. I was like, if you have this palette, you don't need any more eyeshadows in your arsenal. Probably if you're just first starting out with makeup, it's probably true. I got this palette. I think I did one tutorial using this palette and I never picked it up again. And it is the Coastal Scents 252 eyeshadow palette. 252 eyeshadows. What do I need with that many eyeshadows for? I don't know. I've never used the palette before. I was just really excited. This palette probably is combination of all of the other colors palettes. Now these are really, really gorgeous. The only reason why I regret buying them is because I just don't use them. I think this one has like 3 layers to it, actually. Yeah, so they have all types of colors. If you have this palette, I don't think you need any other palette ever again until you get finished using up all of these colors. Now with me, why I don't give away things like this is because I don't like giving, I don't know, and I really shouldn't worry about it. I don't like giving things to people that I feel like they're not going to take care of it, or they're not going to be as passionate as I am about makeup, because I have given makeup away, tons of makeup away to people, and either they don't use them, like they just don't use them. I know one person that two people that I gave makeup away to was my daughter's friends, and I'm really happy that I gave it to them because they use the makeup. And one of them actually is went to cosmetology school, and she told me that a lot of these palettes that I gave her like this, they come in handy when she has, you know, shoots and stuff that she has to do. And I'm sure she's, you know, broadened her horizon with her collection or whatever. But I'm not saying that these are horrible palettes, muffins. This is just a personal opinion of my own, because I grabbed to other palettes. There's so many other different type of textures of makeup out now, and exciting things and new things that are coming out, to where I don't even think to pick up these palettes. And then again, that's a sad thing about it too, is because you wind up spending $50, $60 on palettes and stuff like that, when you can go on to Bhcosmetics or Coastal Scents or eBay or Amazon and pick up the same palettes for way cheaper, not even like less than half of what you're spending on these $50 to $60 palettes and stuff. But I love them. I love my Lorac palettes and my Urban Decay palette. I love all of them, and my Makeup Geek eyeshadows. I'm going to be having my next video that I'm going to be recording. I'm going to be doing lip swatches with ColourPop. The first time I'm buying ColourPop makeup, not the makeup part of it, because I've seen enough reviews on it to where it's not even worth it. The lip stuff is worth it. And that's another thing. ColourPop is so hyped. Do you remember when Lime Crime was the shit back then? I don't own that one thing of Lime Crime, and people were going ham over Lime Crime. That company is, I don't even think it really exists anymore. You know what I mean? So be careful when, you know, if you're watching these YouTubes, or you're just starting out blogging, not blogging, into the beauty channel and stuff. Try not to fall too heavily into what's out now, because you would, muffins, if I run through my makeup collection, I have a bottom drawer full of makeup. I don't even use it, and it's drugstore makeup. I don't even use it, muffin. So I mean, just be really careful. Those are the palettes that I do regret buying. Muffins. If you want to see any more products that I regret buying, because I have tons of them, muffins, tons of them, just leave a comment below. So muffins, I will check you guys later on, and thank you for joining me back at my channel. I love you, muffins. Bye.